してる夢はきっとあるどこかにある願いがいつか叶うまで一人じゃない
Hello and welcome to Aniview Solo Reviews. I'm Lyzl, and today I'm going to be reviewing Kaleido Star. So Kaleido Star was made by Gonzo in 2003, it's 51 episodes long, and it's a comedy, drama, fantasy series. The Kaleido Stage, an amazing circus that Sora Nagino has dreamed of joining ever since she was young. Her acrobatic skill is stunning, but a thief causes her to be late for her first audition at the Kaleido Stage. Layla Hamilton, its star, dismisses her for her tardiness. However, Kalos, the stage manager, sees something in her and gives her a second chance. Sora grabs on and never lets go in her fascinating journey to become an amazing circus performer. So, I'm not going to say to you that Kaleido Star is the most innovative or deep series ever, but what I will say is that I had a great time watching this series and that I can recommend it to anyone who's just looking for an anime to sit down, get comfortable with, and just have a good time. So let's start our journey into the Kaleido Stage by talking a little bit about the animation. So, I wouldn't say Kaleido Star has the best animation ever out there, but it is colorful and it actually gave it a sort of unique look. I wouldn't say it's innovative, but I actually liked how everything was so colorful, so nice looking, and so I actually quite enjoyed it. For the actual animation, the movement of frames part, it's a little bit choppy, and where I think this would have really helped the series out a bit is in the actual circus performance acts, because they spend a lot of still frames, a lot of things, and when you're looking at this amazing circus performance, you're really looking for something a little bit more clear. However, I had a really good time watching them regardless. As for its sound, I wouldn't say it's anything special again, but I actually quite enjoyed it. I think it worked for the series, and I actually quite enjoyed listening to a few of the songs. The opening and ending are fairly generic, but again, they work for the series, so I wouldn't say there's anything bad about that. What I did find special about the music was the music that they used in the climactic moments in the first and second seasons. I actually thought it really helped boost those moments, and considering they're one of the best parts of the show, I'm really glad that they did pull out some nice music for those parts. Alright, let's talk a little bit about the story now. So, Kaleido Star is split into 2 seasons, each of which builds up to a very solid climax. In between, you've got these sort of mini arcs of about 4 or 5 episodes each, where a stage show is being put on, and Sora and the gang is training to get into that stage show, audition for it, and show off the best show that they possibly can. There's also a bit of episodic episodes thrown in there where Sora is helping out her friends or dealing with family troubles, whatever it may be. And that's basically how the story works. I found that the main driving force throughout the story is the fantastic rivalry, especially in the first season, between Sora and Layla Hamilton. So you've got Sora, she's new to the stage, and she is energetic, and some people believe in her, but Layla, the star of the Kaleido Stage, is just like, no, this girl, she's definitely not meant for the Kaleido Stage. She was late for her audition, and she's just not worth it. And so you've got this amazing rivalry right away started, and I quite like that. I felt that they drove each other. Layla always trying to stay on top, make sure she's still the best, because she doesn't want to deal with this late, horrible person, Sora, who's just come around, is a newbie. And Sora determined to become this Kaleido Star and working as best she can. She's so determined, so driven, and they sort of drive each other to become better performers. So another thing I found that I really enjoyed about this show was that the episodes that might be considered filler and the episodes that were really the build-up of each stage show were kind of blurred. The lines between them, you couldn't really tell if an episode was meant to be one or meant to be the other. Yes, sometimes there was the full-on filler episode, but most of the time, every episode did progress the plot in one way or another. And I quite liked that. I felt that every episode I felt like I could watch and enjoy because everything seemed to be building up to the stage shows, the final climaxes, or just building up the characters as people. So I really liked that overall, and I never felt that, even though it's a 52 episode, that any episode was really completely worthless towards the series. As a comparison to the show, I'd like to mention the show Angelic Lair. So if you've seen Angelic Lair, where they have battling little robots that they fight with each other and build up a friendship between, this is the way I think that you can get these sort of gender mixing animes together. Kaleido Star, it seems like it's maybe meant for a female audience, but at the same time, because of these stage shows, because of the battles that she has to do between auditioning for different parts, it actually makes it exciting from the competitive point of view, that sort of shonen fix that you need to sort of get really enticed for the series. And I think that it bridges the gap between viewers that are male and viewers that are female for the show, and anyone can really enjoy it because you've got these amazing moments that are happening throughout the show. But at the same time, you have these relationships that are building up, and so it's still a little bit more on the female-leaning side. I would say that truly, though, the absolute best part of the series has got to be the seasonal climaxes. So episode 25, 26, and episode 51, 52, those areas where Sora is doing an amazing, amazing act, the sort of final performance of each episode are just stunning. I was so excited. I was just thrilled to see it. And I think that when you're seeing an entire season build up and build up and build up, you really need this final climax. And a lot of series, I think, fail on this part. Kaleido Star, I think this is where it absolutely shines, because I just felt so great watching these moments, and it was just such a rush, because you've been seeing them train and train and train throughout each season, and then finally get to show off their most amazing act. And I thought this was just a phenomenal way to show off these types of series. Alright, so getting into characters now, I'm only really going to talk about two major characters here just because they're the really important ones in Season 1, and I don't want to give away too much about Season 2. So, obviously, let's talk a bit about Sora. So, Sora is a very determined main character. She is training all the time, she has always wanted to become a circus performer, and while she's a bit one-dimensional because of that, all you really get to see of her is that she wants to become a circus star. At the same time, it works because all the focus is on her becoming better, and you're not sort of distracted by maybe psychological problems or anything else like that. So while it's not the most deep character ever, I actually really enjoyed her determination. I found she was a really cool female protagonist because she had a lot of the traits of a shonen lead where, they want to be the best at something, whether it be the Shaman King or the Pokemon Master or whatever it may be. She wants to become the Kaleido Star. And so I can really get into that, and I felt a familiarity to this type of character. What I also liked is she had that rivalry going on, and that ties into the second character, Layla Hamilton, the person she's having a rivalry with. So I quite like this. I felt that, you've got this sort of Hikaru no Go rivalry going on where you have Hikaru and Toya. So Hikaru sort of matches to Sora in the sense that he wanted to become a really great Go Master, and there's this character who is already amazing at it, Toya, an already sort of pro-level person at his age, and so he was driven by this person, but Toya, on the same hand, was driven by Hikaru to become better because he doesn't want a person like Hikaru, this sort of terrible new player, to become nearly as good as him. And so I felt this had a lot of the same dynamic, and I love Hikaru no Go, so this worked really well for me. Layla, she is already an amazing Kaleido Star, but she still trains every single day. She wants to become better, and Sora drives her to do that. She's sort of the wind behind her back, pushing her to stay at the top of her game, because she'll never let a person, a sort of commoner, a person that's weak, a person that's late, become as good as her. And so I really felt that this was a dynamic relationship. Layla had this interesting character to her. She's a little bit more mature than Sora and knows the sort of harsh realities of life, but at the same time has that same sort of driving force behind her. And so they have a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences as well. There's a lot of other characters in the cast, and a lot of them are good and fulfill their roles. There's Sora's friends, one of which wants to become a comedy master, a comedian, and the other wants to become a director of stage shows, and each of them sort of is training to fulfill their dreams, as Sora wants to become her dream of the Kaleido Star. There's also Ken, who is sort of the stagehand that has a crush on Sora, and so he sort of has an interesting role in the series. And Kalos, the stage manager, who always believed in Sora and is sort of pushing her to become better and better. And so you've got all these characters that each fill their role, and while none of them are particularly deep, and you're not going to be like, man, this was the best character in anime ever, I really felt that this series had every character it needed to make the series feel like a cohesive whole. Alright, so let's get down to it. I'm going to give Kaleido Star 4 to 5 stars. I can't really give it higher than this because honestly it's really not that deep of a series, but for a series that is so traditional and so basic in its premise, I was just amazed by how much fun I had watching this, and especially those seasonal climaxes. That's what really pushes this series to the next level and really made me love it, because you just felt like all that time you're watching them train and build up is paying off, because you get to see those final moments that you just really see their determination and hard work pay off. So overall, I just really enjoyed this series and would recommend it to almost anyone. Alright, so if you have any questions, comments, or requests, you can send them to aniview@hotmail.com or send us a comment on our YouTube page. You can also check us out at aniviewreviews.com and talk to us on our forums there. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.